But let's move on to an important conversation now. Aloke Bajpai, the chairman and MD of Ixigo, joins in, obviously fresh off the board meet that just concluded, where they will raise 1,300 crore rupees via an equity issue, 10% to Prosus. And there was also a letter that the company got with a potential investor to buy stake in the company. Was that Prosus or was that someone else? And finally, we will obviously discuss the business outlook for the company post GST cuts and as we move into the travel end of the year. Thanks a lot, Aloke, for joining in. And this 1,300 crore rupees fundraise that you've announced, congratulations for that. We'll talk about, the objects in just a bit. But what's interesting and what was perplexing the street is the letter that you guys received, which said that a potential investor disclosed that they would acquire no more than 16% of the company from the secondary market. Time, price, nothing was defined. And then the company said that, you're not party to any of all of this. What exactly happened out here? And this is unusual for a company to disclose a letter like that to the exchanges, upfront. Could you tell us who the potential investor was? Was it Prosus itself?
Yes, indeed. So the letter that we received a couple of days back was from Prosus, which is one of the leading global technology investors, as you know. They've been deeply committed to India and have $8.6 billion invested in India. The letter obviously indicated that, through a mix of primary and secondary, right, they would aspire to get no more than 16% ownership. At this point, we have approved, the board has approved the primary component, which is a 10% stake, for the amount you mentioned. And I think from a secondary perspective, at this point, we do not have additional information, but we are assuming that, they would be pursuing that.
So did the board meet to consider the fundraise happen to accommodate Prosus's intent?
Well, look, I think we've got this intent a couple of days back, and the board has approved it this morning. And I think we essentially welcome an investor who has such deep experience, not just in technology but also being AI first in their thinking across the investments that they have made across the world as well as in India. So I think it's an investor whom we really respect, and therefore, we did proceed with the primary transaction.
Right.
At this point, we don't have any further information on the secondary transaction.
So it's possible that, Aloke, hi, morning, and good to speak with you. So it's possible 10% you issue through this pref, and they buy additional 6% from the market. It's possible.
Well, it's possible. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I can only comment on what we have approved. And of course, it's subject to shareholder approval now to consummate, right? And I guess on the secondary side, as and when, there is any further information available to us, we will make it available.
Was it?
But,
yeah. Got that. Was it, how do I put it? Was it all... all friendly and amicable, Aloke? I mean, because that letter, when it was put out, you would understand, right? I mean, it was unusual to see a letter like that, in which the company is essentially reproducing what the letter is saying that will,
well, it was, I mean, we received the letter and it was a voluntary disclosure from our side to the markets that we have received such an intent. I think it's not really unusual. There have been precedents where this has happened, but the fact is that, look, like I said, this is an investor that is deeply respected in the Indian, growth.
Will they get a seat on the board, Aloke? I mean, or have they asked for one?
So they do have the right to appoint a member to the board so long as their holding remains above 10%.
Okay.
Right. So assuming, so the answer is yes. I mean, they would, obviously they'd want...
Well, they have the right. So we'll wait and watch.
Okay. And is it possible, do you have, I mean, since this is a process, they will stay, I mean, the max is 16%. So we should work with that 16% number.
That's the max intent that we have received so far, right? I mean, so I can only comment on what information we have at this point.
Just out of curiosity, would you not have benefited by issuing 16% equity to them? Then that way money would have come, a lot more money would have come into the company. Or did you not need the money and you were okay giving them, pref of 10% and the rest they can go ahead and buy from the secondary market?
So we have weighted, obviously, how much capital we think, it can be used to our advantage at this point in our business. I think we are living through a very, I would say, once in a lifetime moment where we could actually invest further in AI and technology to reinvent ourselves over the next few quarters, which is something we've been talking about last couple of quarters, as well as the fact that we need to double down on hotels, a new segment that we entered about a year and a half ago. Plus, of course, the fact that there's a possibility and we can keep it as an optionality to pursue inorganic opportunities as well, right? So in that sense, I think we've evaluated how much capital, we really could absorb at this point of time. And that's how we arrived at the 10%.
So Prosus, Aloke, indicated their intent to come into the company a few days back. You voluntarily disclosed that to the company. So if you were open to the idea of selling, part stake in the company, then why not look for other investors and then evaluate the option that works best for the company? Why did you go with the one that first came to you?
Well, because it's a great investor, right? I mean, if you think about it, right, there's also the time value of money, right? I mean, a pref issue is actually the fastest route to raise money if you actually want to do that. We are talking about one of the most reputed global tech investors, with portfolio companies which are household names in India as well as abroad. And I think in that sense, we did not have any qualms about, proceeding with this transaction.
Tell us a little bit more about the capital allocation then. 25% for organic, 25% for inorganic. What specific projects, acquisition, how soon will you deploy it?
Yeah, so, we have a timeline of, next 2.5 years in terms of how we are thinking of deploying this. Most of the objects, we will utilize them up to December 31st, 2028 or March 31st, 2028. Now, the split of the utilization is as follows. The 1 quarter is actually for organic, which I mentioned will be supporting our AI-led reinvention strategy, which is our disruption pod on AI, where we are working on some agentic AI capabilities, which will be more multimodal, conversational, hyper-personalized, preemptive, proactive, and which can act on your behalf. So that's one of the areas where we are doubling down on, and we will definitely not be shy of making further investments into. Hotels, like I mentioned, is a very important priority area for us in the, for the next couple of years. And I think we are still very early in the journey of product market fit. But I think adding more supply as well as, gaining more, I would say, product insights to improve our product market fit even further, as well as, marketing initiatives around that. Those are areas where we'll probably invest some of the capital. And of course, brand awareness creation of Ixigo and Confirm Ticket and Abhibus. That is something we believe we will continue to push the pedal on in line with our growth.
Right.
That's the area. The next quarter is dedicated to inorganic, which again is an optionality. At this point, we don't have any identified acquisition target. And then there's working capital and GCP.
That's interesting, because of the money that you've raised, 25% is what you can, use to organically grow your business. The rest, working capital, general corporate purposes, inorganic, 25%. Obviously, not anything at the moment right now. Final couple of questions before we let you go. Prosus also has a stake in a Latin American online travel company, Despegar, which is valued at nearly $2 billion. They also have a stake in Rapido. Do you see some sort of, synergies with Prosus's portfolio companies that could grow your overall business? And how much stake Prosus holds would be something that would be comfortable for y'all? Because beyond a certain level, it may start to get a little hostile, right?
Well, I would look at it a different way, right? So this is an investor who has very deep, not just investment experience, but operating experience, right, across markets. And the kind of insights as well as the kind of, global sort of exposure they have to how businesses work, can be very helpful, obviously, for us. And I'm sure that, as this relationship progresses, it's just at this point, like the start, right? We want to see how we could leverage, their capabilities and of course their global access. And at the same time, for us, if there are possibilities to partner with, their portfolio companies, we would love to explore that. But, I would say that all that is still ahead of us. We, at this point, we've just sort of approved the transaction at the board level.
Do they
no
have
more
another
fundraising, right?
Yeah. Sorry?
No more other primary fundraising for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think we're sufficiently capitalized post this transaction. Once it consummates, yes.
Do they have another OTA, Aloke, in their portfolio process?
At this point, they have Despegar in Latin America, which they own. They do not have, as far as I know, no other OTA.
Are all other big shareholders, have you spoken to them? How do they feel about this?
Well, the moment this news got public, I think we've got some congratulatory messages. I think there's a lot of respect for the name in the market.
No, it's a highly respected name. And we were just sort of curious about the way this kind of sort of transpired. But
and I'm surprised that you didn't disclose the name of the investor in the first time itself, because now that you're saying it with so much clarity, you could have just said that Prosus intends to acquire 16% stake in the company back when you disclosed that letter.
Yes, but there were no binding agreements signed at that stage as we disclosed, right? Yeah. So it was more like somebody intimating us that they intend to do something like that, right? And I think we felt it best to disclose.
Yeah, got it. Aloke, we congratulate you as well. You've done phenomenally well. Thank you very much for joining us, and good luck as you execute. Appreciate it. Well, that's Ixigo's management on the transaction stock. I think